there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Mixed Media Mayhem, where we're doing kind of a grab 5. It's stamps, nouveau drops, a doily, buttons, and flowers. I'm also playing along with Follow a Sketch February with Sandy over at State Goddess, and this is the sketch that we are using today. And then I'm also playing along with the Iron Crafter Challenge. Today's challenge is to use the oldest paper in your stash. And I'm also using some Assemblage required product. I'm going to use the pumpkin with the candy out of this set, and then I'm going to use the title out of this set, as well as some of those little candy pieces. And I am documenting Halloween, obviously, using a little bit of paper from Basic Gray. So this is the Basic Gray Erie collection. The date on it is 2009. I'm not 100% sure it's the oldest paper in my stash, but it is the oldest paper I could find with a date on it. The others, I wasn't really 100% sure what the date was. So I went ahead and just went with this one. And I think it's a great collection. I don't have anything except some papers from it, so there's no embellishments to go along with it, and that is one of the reasons that I've brought in some of the pieces from Some Assemblage Required. I'm also using the Some Assemblage Required Distress tool, which is fantastic. If you haven't seen it already, I rave about it all the time when I use it, so if you're new to my channel, you might not have heard about it, but if you're not new, I'm sure you know all about it. It's just great because it's really easy to hang on to, and the little grooves that the paper goes in are really nice and deep, where my one that I had before, the paper would always slide out of it, which made me not want to use it. So now I'm using a tool that I have, and I think that's awesome. So I have 3 photos of the kids that I take care of. This is the second time I'm actually documenting these, and I will actually do them one more time because I want one layout for each of their albums, since it's their entire family in the photos. I think that is a good way to do it for them, because they have their own albums for each of the kids, and then nobody's fighting over who gets it in their book. And so this is my gift to them, and I think they'll really like it. So I went ahead and roughed up the edges of my paper. I'm going to go ahead and go with a purple paper to start with, and then, well, I mounted everything on black first, and then on the purple, and then I'm going to go with some of the strips of the colorful paper, and I will be using the punch that you see off to the right to make a scalloped edge, which is very similar to what I've got going in the sketch there. So I'm liking the way that that's all looking. When I first put this together, I was at a crop, and actually this portion is while I'm at the crop, and I didn't really have everything with me that I needed or wanted, and so I kind of put the layout together and left it not 100% done. So you're gonna see me come back and tear most of the stuff off of it and add a few things, and then put everything back. So I mean, I don't tear every little bit off it one by one, but I pretty much take the entire everything off of the background so I can do some stamping with that stamp that I had. I did not have the ink with me that I wanted or anything like that. So yeah, I had to come back and do that. And then I ended up having to come back and do the nouveau drops also, because I didn't have all of those with me when I was at the retreat. So at least not in the colors that I wanted. So yeah, I had to come back and do a little bit of extra work on it to finish it up. But I do really like the way that it ends up looking. And I really like the addition of the nouveau drops at the end, because they're not a product that I'm super fond of. If you follow me, you probably know that they're not a bad product, but the very first time I tried nouveau drops many years ago, I swatched them all, because I bought a bunch all at one time, and you know, they're supposed to kind of take the place of enamel dots. And then my swatch, I let it dry for several days, and then it got set aside and some papers got set on top of it. And when I came back, the tops of them were all flat. And so that was, yeah, very disappointing for me. So I don't really use them as drops very often. I kind of use them to go through Stencil or to color things in, like I am going to do today. So yeah, that was my experience. If your experience is different, that's great. I'm definitely not suggesting that they're horrible for everybody or anything like that, or that they're horrible at all. It's just they weren't very useful for the purpose that I thought I was going to use them for. So I'm repurposing them. I went through my labels and tags and tickets and pulled out some pieces that I thought would work well. Really like the addition of the lime green because that paper's got the lime green in it. My little guy's wearing some lime green, and his mom's got lime green, or bright green, I should say. And so I think that works very well. And then adding a couple other labels so that there's a bit of an area to do a little bit of journaling. And here's where I kind of pull everything apart and go back and do some stamping with that stamp you see off to the right hand side. It's kind of a Harlequin distressed diamond grid, if you will, and I'm using some twisted Citron Oxide ink to go ahead and ink it up. I don't really care if it's full coverage, just kind of going with getting some of it on the layout. I want it to look distressed and a little bit imperfect. That is totally okay by me. I did have a hard time pulling that bottom area up, and I finally went back and I pulled it up and thinking, you know, I don't know why I was kind of being very gentle in prying it off, because I don't really mind if it tears the paper underneath where it's glued down, because I'm going to set it right back down as soon as I get these things tucked under it that I want tucked in. So it's going to cover it up, but I don't want anything ripped or torn that is visible in its current state, because that would show even when I put it all back together. So as far as a doily goes, I am considering that spider web that is underneath the bucket of candy my doily. That's what it looked like to me. The other two don't really fit the bill because they're not a full circle or anything like that. But the one that's under the bucket of candy, I think it looks like a bit of a doily, so I'm calling that my doily. I know I'm doing a little bit of a cheat on Mixed Media Mayhem because I am also not using buttons, and I am also not using flowers. So yeah, I got 3 out of 5 on here, and I'm going to call it good. I'm not going to add those things because I didn't feel like they went really well with this particular layout, and I don't want to force it. So at the end of the day, I need to be happy with the layout, and I'm pretty happy with the way that it came out without having to add those things. Didn't really feel like florals or flowers was going to help the cause at all in this particular case, and I didn't feel like buttons were going to add anything either, since I've already got some wood veneer on there. Here's where I go back and I add my Nuvo drops, and I'm going to color up the candy bits here. I really do love the way that this comes out. It takes it a little bit of time to dry, and that's okay. It just sits overnight in my craft area so that it can dry. And I did go back with my tweezers and this little pokey tool to remove a little bit out of the eyes and the mouth area where it kind of, I got a little bit heavy-handed in it. And then I also wanted to kind of like not flatten out, but spread out the orange just a bit so that it wasn't like a big blob in the middle. And so I'm using my little tool for that as well. I do not know the names of the colors that I chose here. If they're still available, I'll put them down below. These are very old. They've been in my stash since probably the first round of Nuvo drops came out. So it's pretty unlikely that they're available. The green apple one there, I think that one's called green apple. That green one might still be available, but the other ones I'm not sure that they are. So my apologies for that if they are not. Some of the ones I'm using are sparkly, like this purple, and that has a little bit more of a translucent look to it rather than the more opaque of the solid pieces, and that's okay. I like the way that it ends up coming out. I ended up using a pink that has sparkle in it as well, and then I think there was a pink that did not have sparkle. I think there were 2 different pinks that I ended up using. So I'm liking how those are coming together, and then I'm also really liking the addition of the purple sparkle. The sparkle just really did it for me with these candies because it made it feel like it was like a, I don't know, like cellophane wrappers are shiny and shimmery, and so it just felt more fun and festive and very, very Halloween-ish to me. And so I'm really happy with the way that they came out. So I just kind of went back and forth on which colors I was going to use. And then I do end up using a little bit of this Like Nouveau Drops, making some dots, because I felt like those 2 at the top, I just used the green and the orange, but I needed to bring in the pink, the purple, and the turquoise to the upper area, and then down into the bottom area as well. So I wanted to make sure that all of the colors were represented in each one of my clusters, and that is why I decided to go ahead and do that Nouveau Drop method. And I think that'll be okay on this because they are going next to the wood veneer and the acrylic, so those will kind of protect them with regard to being smashed in between papers in the albums. That wood veneer will definitely kind of support the areas around them. So that's my thinking. We'll see what happens over time. Now, granted, the ones at the top are pretty far from the wood veneer, but the other ones are going to be pretty close. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. At the end of the day, I really like this layout, and I think it's a lot of fun. And I will probably leave a little bit of the journaling, or actually all of the journaling, for their mom to do. Sometimes I write on them, but most of the time, well, anything that I'm not at, I usually leave for her to write on. And I wasn't with them on Halloween, at least not during trick-or-treat time. So I will leave that for her to go ahead and do a little bit of journaling when she's got some time. That is pretty much it, you guys. Don't forget to check out everyone playing along with the Iron Crafter. There are links down below, as well as a playlist for Iron Crafter and a playlist for Mixed Media Mayhem and a playlist for Follow a Sketch February. So all kinds of good things to go and get inspiration from. And the links for the products that I've used, if they're available, are down below as well, so that you can go and check those out. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.